Smackdown. We agreed that we were going to watch it. You said we would zip through it. I ended up watching more than I thought I would.
I did too.
But let's talk a little bit about Smackdown that aired this past Friday, which would have been, looking at my calendar.
July 30th.
July 30th, that's right.
That's right. I keep up on these things. They've formatted this show well at the start, especially Cena's entrance at the top. Blew the roof off the building. He comes out with energy, enthusiasm. He acts like a superstar. He's a movie star. He's majorly over. That's something you can't replicate and something the WWE hadn't been able to replicate here lately. I like the way that they, for the television viewer, and that's what they're doing it for, I like the way they have the talent come out and do the entrance, and then they show the couple of minute history packages to bring people up to date. It's got to be awkward as fuck because they're on live TV, for the talent to stand in the ring and wave at everybody while that, video is playing, because even though obviously the talent comes out and then they cut the lights down and they go to the video for the live event, it's just like when you come out with that emotion and energy and you want to cut a promo, but you got to stand there and watch that video package, it's hard on the talent. But you couldn't see this with John because he's fucking brilliant. As soon as they came back and they showed last week his return challenging Reigns, Heyman had interrupted him last week and was great and dooted Cena's music.
That's not Cena's music. I don't know what you just did.
Well, whatever. Heyman was dooting it. Reigns had blistered Cena last week for not changing his gimmick. It was like the missionary position. It just gets old after a while. And he turned down the challenge and accepted Finn Balor's challenge. That's what Reigns did last week. So anyway, Cena does his promo. I mean, it's fucking great. He's not acting. He's being him. He's got great delivery. He's got great vocabulary. He's witty. It seems natural. Obviously, he's gone over this material and added his own and made it his own, telling a story, but it's just so heads and shoulders above what most people are doing these days. And his story was he didn't change because it's him. And he gave the great analogies. Would you want, what'd he say, Stone Cold Steve Austin to come out as freeze-fried, fucking Steve Houston or whatever? He fired the crowd up. It was a great performance. It's worth whatever they're paying John Cena right now for John Cena to be on any of their shows anywhere. And he pretty much roasted Roman Reigns. And I'm thinking, okay, this is really good way to open. And then here, all of a sudden, here comes, apparently now it's homeless Corbin. And he comes in and he's like, we got to talk, John. And Cena was funny when he said, first of all, who are you? And then I think the way he delivered it was hilarious, but it's, again, he says he watches the show and he loves the WWE. He should know, but then he realized it with Baron Corbin, so he turned it around and made it right. That's you, Baron Corbin? Because he didn't recognize him. And Corbin tells the story of sorrow and woe that would bring a tear to a glass eye about how he's, bankrupt and penniless and everything's gone wrong. And they made jokes about his dick not working. And he asked Cena for help. I thought he meant help with his erectile dysfunction at first, but we get movie star, great wrestling talent John Cena selling an issue and leading towards SummerSlam, and then in the twinkling of an eye, they turn it to silly shit John Cena. He's great in it, but, it was just to give the fucking underneath guy an attitude adjustment, his move, and leave him laying, but I mean, John's great at everything, but why did he have to be silly when they're talking about the main event at fucking SummerSlam? But anyway, that's what they did there. What'd you think?
Really good promo for the most part. I sat back when he came out. I missed the transition to the highlight clip, so I thought I did something wrong watching it on DVR because I was like, I thought this was live. I thought he just came out live and now it's back to this. But then started watching it. You know, it's nice to hear a crowd pop like that. Just to sit back and like listen to the crowd react like that was cool.
Like it used to do every week?
But he started getting too hokey with Corbin. And I don't blame Corbin. Corbin's fucking good in his role. He's delivering his lines so it doesn't sound like they're lines. And
it's a fantastic performance in Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Exactly. That's the issue. It's on wrestling. But Cena gets too hokey. And you know what? Out of the 2 promos I've seen from Cena since he returned, I'll take this with the hokiness with Baron Corbin over the hokiness with Matt Riddle on Raw. But it's both promos. Serious promo, good promo. People are happy to hear from him. They both descend into comedy. Although this, in a sense, does pay off later in the show.
True. They at least worked it in, and we won't give it away yet, but I was actually pleasantly swerved. Anyway, next up was the Ray and Dominic Mysterio promo, and then Ray is going to wrestle Jimmy Uso with Dominic and Jay in the corners. And Mysterio's to Ray is telling Dominic, hey, watch your old man. Watch, I've still got a few tricks up my sleeve and etc. And this, I love Rey Mysterio, but this stuff he's not great at doing scripted material, at least this scripted material, because it sounds like he's not being genuine. And Dominic is trying so hard to be the smiling son that it doesn't sound real from them. This is scripted stuff. And also the visual is off. Rey Mysterio is one of the great talents in the business, but he's the height of a 14-year-old, and Dominic is over 6 feet tall, but facially he looks 14, and Ray's patting him on it like, kid, watch me, kid, a foot taller and 50 pounds heavier than me, watch me. I don't know.
The fact that, we're talking about the promo, the fact that he carries his dad to the ring on his back. He gives his dad a piggyback ride to the ring.
I'm just watching, Scott Armstrong carrying Bullet Bob to the ring. And, anyway, this was a regular WWE style match, but Mysterio's precision is always amazing. Whether it's a comeback or the heat spot or what, he floats when he does his flying shit. He's always in control. He knows which direction he's going. He did one dive and hit it perfectly. He builds to his spots. He builds to the 619. He builds to, impressive stuff. He doesn't just dive everywhere and flip as many times as he can and hope 16 people catch him. So if you want somebody to be doing flying and wrestling, you want it to be a guy like Rey Mysterio. And that's why also when you've got a Rey Mysterio, you should keep most other people from doing it because they're not going to do it as well, and it just makes his shit look less impressive. Except for a new competitor that we'll talk about here in a little while. He may have Ray beat on the flipping. But the finish was really well done here. It fit the story that they were telling. That's something that the Usos have done in the past. Ray rolls Jimmy up after foiling the heels effort to screw them, and then Dominic slides in and uses leverage to help the pin. It was perfect timing, got a nice pop from the people, and it got the point across. This was not a bad match. I don't know if I'm sold on the Usos as singles yet, or at least this Uso.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, I don't consider this a singles program. Obviously it's 2 tag teams having a singles match.
Just their work individually. I don't know if, it's... which one got arrested?
Jimmy, I think.
Well, now let's not slander somebody without... But the point is, if Jimmy was working, he needs a little work in the gym rather than the bar afterwards, if it was him. Go ahead.
It was indeed Jimmy Uso.
Okay, he needs to spend more time at the gym, less time at the bar.
Other than that, I thought it was all right, and clever finish. I like the finish. And the fans reacted nice to it.
Well, there you go. All right, I want you to know I tried on this. Bianca Belair comes to the ring for an in-ring interview with young Kayla Braxton. And okay, because You had talked me into it. I took her as my 8th spot when I picked 8 girls for the WWE roster. And everybody says I haven't given her a chance. So I started watching this interview. She was all giggles at being champion for 110 days, and there was a lot of happy talk. And she was just pleased as punch, and she's got a pleasing smile, and she's delivering the material, but it's material. She's memorized it, and you can tell. And then, but she was happy, and then music interrupted, and here comes Carmella. She's the one, was she the one, her roster picture looks like one of those sex androids that they're building over in Japan or somewhere?
That is indeed what you said about her.
That's what I said. Yeah, she's gorgeous. And I don't buy her as a professional wrestler or any type of physical threat to fucking carbon paper. Let me try a newer reference. That streamer paper. For all you over 60 folks, that carbon paper didn't stand up very well. But she'll come on. And her first words were, "Oh my gosh, Bianca." And she sounds like a bitchy reality show TV woman. And she wants a title match. And as soon as she gets in the ring, Kayla Braxton, the interviewer, has just disappeared and is gone completely. Now they're just doing their own thing. And then suddenly music plays. Here comes Zelina Vega. More scripted, catty remarks amongst these reality show women, and then they all got in a fight, and it looked like a bunch of reality TV show bitchy women in a cat fight. And then here comes Sasha Banks' music. And she hit the ring to a big pop and hit shit on both the heels. Apparently she's been friends with Bianca in the past, so she hits shit on both the heels, clears the ring, and hugs Bianca Belair. That got over. I wrote there I may trade Sasha Banks for Bianca Belair on my WWE fantasy roster.
Didn't they wrestle at WrestleMania?
I don't fucking remember.
I think that's who Bianca beat for the title. That's who Bianca beat.
Well, there you go. Well, then now they're together. They're friends. Here.
That Carmella on the mic, she had the same delivery as Bowser from Sha-Na-Na.
Okay, now my carbon paper reference isn't that bad, but yeah, this is girls being given dramatic material and then going out and having a couple of schoolgirl skirmishes. I'm sorry, I can't watch this shit.
It was good to see Sasha Banks. The fans really reacted. Thank God she was in her gear, ready to run out, and the guy was ready with the music. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened to Bianca.
Yeah.
Have her run out there in street clothes. Would have made the whole thing a little bit better. And
well, but then she wouldn't have had time to get dressed before they brought it back in a tag team match after this unscheduled incident.
Yes, they would have. Bianca did an outfit change. She was wearing shorts here and pants during the match.
Well, you're true. Well, in that case, then they just didn't think ahead.
Hey, whatever buzz there was, the questions that people were dying to know, what's going to happen with Zelina Vega? Where will she go next? What will she do? And boy, just in a few weeks, she's just another person on that roster.
I was about all those questions have not been answered because now nobody even cares to find out the answers to them. She just showed up and here, thank you for leaving and thank you for coming back. And whatever money she got not to sue him or talk to Mr. Wang, Andrew Wang, no offense.
Yang, not Wang.
Oh, I'm
sorry. Andrew Yang. It's not
Mr. Wang was in Caddyshack, and
that's right. Hey, Wang, what's in the parking lot?
Yeah, no offense.
Hey. Speaking of promos that you want to just tune out and do something else to, I got a feeling a lot of the listeners are using their Raycon earbuds during some of these SmackDown segments.
But not to listen to SmackDown.
No.
Because you want to be able to control the sounds of your life, folks. Stick something in your ears and listen to what you want to listen to, because there's a lot of bullshit going on in the world today. A lot of noise, both verbal and of the regular noise pollution kind. A lot of people saying things that you don't want to hear. A lot of people doing things that you don't want to pay attention to. Soundtrack your life. Create your own soundtrack with Raycon. We've been talking about them. The accolades or even the Lex Luger allocades have flown in from the cult of Cornette about these things. They're fantastic to listen to, not only because they look good, they don't stick out of your ears like some people that look like Ray Walston in My Favorite Martian. There's a carbon paper era reference. But also, they come with a bunch of gel tips for your comfort. They've got a 32-hour battery life. You can listen to what you want when you want for a really long time. You could be on Naked and Afraid on a desert island somewhere and have 32 hours of battery life with these Raycons. They start at half the price of other premium audio brands, but they sound just as good, and they come with a 45-day happiness guarantee. You can't really lose, because if you're not happy, they'll give you your money back. Give them a try. You'll see what we mean. Create your own life soundtrack with Raycon. And right now, the Drive-Thru listeners can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/JCE. That's BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE. 15% off the entire order. You can buy a pair and a square, or a spare. A pair and a square. Can you spare a square? Or buy a pair and a spare? Do you care?
I don't care about your square.
Well, if you needed to spare a square, and I had a spare to square, or a square to spare, see, I'm hurt.
I forgot. Did you finish the spot, or are we still in the middle of it?
I think I'm done.
Did you? Okay. Well, that's Raycon, ladies and gentlemen. And speaking of cons, let's get back to SmackDown.
Oh, boy. Well, Reggie was up next. His name was Reginald, but now you can call me Reggie. Or you can call me Ray, or you can call me Jay. But you doesn't got to call me Johnson.
This may have been my favorite segment on the whole show.
Brother almighty.
This thing was so ridiculous.
And see, this is why the show becomes a chore to watch. Because bookending things like John Cena and Roman Reigns and stars are Reginald or Reggie. So this guy was, he was French first, and he was a wine expert, right? Brought in by one of the women. He used to work at Cirque du Soleil, so the jokes actually wrote themselves. He did an interview in the back where he recited a memorized script in one of the phonier ways that I've ever heard it recited, because he's not an actor and he's not a wrestler. He's a fucking acrobat. He's a good one. But he's never talked on television before, and you can tell because this went way too long and it was rotten. And then they send him to the ring, and he handsprings all the way down the aisle and then jumped on a trampoline to flip over the top. And it looked as slick as anybody in Cirque du Soleil, because that's where he used to work. Because did I mention he's not a wrestler? He's an acrobat. So I don't know what's worse. The amateurs trying to be acrobats on AEW and just falling all over everybody and slipping and fucking botching and landing on their ass or somebody else, or the other company actually going out and hiring real acrobats now to become wrestlers. I'm not sure which is worse.
Now, look, it may have been the weed, but when he started flipping down to the ring, I lost it. I started cracking up. Because it was the most ridiculous thing. And now the SmackDown set, because they don't have the stage, it's flat in the back.
Yeah.
But the monitor makes it look like there's still rows of fans that aren't there. So here's this guy just flipping and his people reacting. And then they have the springboard, so he does the big flip. It was so ridiculous, I laughed. And then I'm sorry to play spoiler, and then he leaves the same way he comes to the fucking ring. He starts back flipping away at the end.
Yes,
of the match.
after a match with a. But now we must mention that he is the new 24/7 champion, old Reggie, and he defended it here against poor Chad Gable, who now Otis, formerly of what was it, Heavy Machinery, or he had the gas station attendant's outfit on with his name, Otis, on his pocket or whatever.
Yeah.
Now he's in red, white, and blue and a singlet, and Chad Gable is the Olympian kind of fucking, amateur athlete. And so the match was with Chad Gable, not Otis. They milked it was going to be Otis for a second, and Otis hits Reggie, and then Chad Gable gloms him. And every time Gable starts to do something to Reggie, Reggie starts flipping and avoids him. Chad stops him again, and Reggie starts flipping again, and finally Otis just jumped in the ring and glommed Reggie, and Gable got disqualified. And God damn it. Again, this guy is minute and a circus acrobat and an Olympian, or not an Olympian, but an amateur wrestler of the level that Chad Gable really was. Just in several minutes, just a few minutes, just needs his big cohort to come in and do a cheap DQ. I don't know what the fuck. Why did Reggie have to be a wine expert stooge for one of the mid-level girls? If he's a world-class gymnast, why not bring him in as, hey, guess what? This guy's a world-class gymnast. At least that would present him as some type of athlete.
Well, and then you gotta pay your dues. You got to pay your dues.
Ricky Starr, for fuck's sake.
No, well, this guy had to pay his dues and, be the hairdresser for Carmelo, whatever he was.
Well, no, but again, for fuck's sake, bring the guy. If you sign the guy because you're excited that he does all his acrobatics and does it better than most of the wrestlers that aren't acrobats, then make his gimmick that he comes in. He's a world-class gymnast and he's performed at a high level, but he's also studied martial arts and wants to try to combine the two, and he's got an unorthodox style that nobody can contend with, but he's still a pro athlete. He's not just a goof that used to work at Cirque du Soleil. Fuck. Adapt the talent to the business they're getting into. Don't adapt the business to the talent.
With that said, Jim, I like Chad Gable with Otis. Again, this is not the goofy Otis, and it will take time to see if he turns goofy again, but he was serious. He's got a legitimate collegiate wrestling background, so does Gable. I think that's not his real name, Gable. I forget what his real name is.
Shorty G is his real name.
That's not his real name either, but I kind of sign me up for that. I'll watch them as a tag team working some matches against another team. I'll take that.
I agree with you, and I wish that we hadn't had to see Otis the other way and Shorty G so that we would take them more seriously. That's a WWE thing. That makes no sense, but they do that to so many guys, and then they don't understand why people don't take to the new character, the new gimmick. Because it's not real, because he was just somebody else, and we know that. We just saw it. I honestly and truthfully, besides not giving a lot of these guys stupid bad gimmicks to begin with, if I was Vince McMahon, perish the thought, but if I was, I would not allow my creative team to repackage anybody straight off television. I would say, okay, can you give me something that I can do with this guy instead of this silly fucking shit you just put on him? Give me an idea for a gimmick that I can give this guy that he can be meaningful and be used on top. And if you do that, then I will pay him to be off for 6 months and not leave the house so people will get the taste out of their mouth, and then bring him back so that my television doesn't look stupid by having a guy be a different person under a different name and a different gimmick. The very next week he's been on previous programming. Leave it 6. If he ain't worth paying for 6 months to be off to turn into somebody else, then let's just let the other folks have him, because he ain't worth shit.
Still your champion, Reggie.
There you go. So now another one of the highlights of the program, the contract signing between Roman Reigns. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say this was the true highlight of the show, if I was going to be honest.
But actually, this should have actually been the main event spot, because then they baited and switched us on but they wanted this for the 9 o'clock hour.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Yeah. But anyway, the contract signing, Reigns with Heyman versus Finn Balor for SummerSlam, that big main event that Reigns has accepted. And again, Balor comes out. Well, I love Finn Balor. He's a fucking star, but no. I won't say people expected this to be changed, but nobody would have expected that Finn Balor is going to be beating Roman Reigns at this point in time. So Reigns and Heyman come out. Paul has lost weight. He's down to only one chin. One extra chin, I should say.
Awful.
But the thing about Heyman, besides his his verbal fucking brilliance, his whole body language in the way that he comes to the ring with or is around Roman Reigns is perfect. It screams toady and stooge. It's deferential and it's, he's a perfect fucking weasel. Reigns did a great promo. He belittled Finn Balor in a backhanded way by referring to what Cena said. Cena said he accepted this match because you didn't want to face me. Well, that must mean that Balor is less than Cena in his eyes, doesn't it, Mr. Balor? Blah, blah, blah. The material is not only believable from him, what he's saying, and of course, because Heyman's standing there. So Roman Reigns is not going to be saying anything stupid that's not believable. But also, he does it naturally, like it's his to begin with. He's thinking of it. And after, he basically rakes Balor over the coals, and Finn answers back a little bit and goes to sign the contract, and Corbin out of nowhere. Fucking here's Corbin dressed in the same shit that he was dressed in. I mean, my God, I remember the story that Vince told when he was on his way to bankruptcy court. The first time that he declared bankruptcy back in the early 80s, him and Linda, when he was running that Cape Cod Coliseum, he'd still gone and got a fucking like a $30 manicure to go to bankruptcy court. And Bruce Pritchard asked him why. He said, "Why, I can't live like a savage." So at least Corbin could fucking button his shirt up, for heaven's sake, even if he is bankrupt. So he comes out and beats the teetotal shit out of fucking Finn Balor and tosses him out into the crowd. And thanks for coming, Finn. Did you notice we never saw Finn Balor again? As a babyface, he was jumped from behind by an underneath guy. When he was at a contract signing for the main event title match at SummerSlam, he got the shit kicked out of him, tossed over the barricade into the crowd, and we never saw him again. So here's your pile of dog shit, Mr. Balor. Anyway.
By the way, when that happened, when Baron Corbin attacks Balor, the officials, Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, they reacted with horror. Heyman, didn't know what to do. Reigns just sat back and watched.
Yes.
It was perfect.
Never moved. He was just leaned back in his chair. Not quite as far as I am now, but leaned back. So anyway, Balor gets shit canned, and then Corbin grabs the contract that's been dropped that Balor didn't sign and goes to sign it. And I'll get the boom, boom, and here comes Cena, and the people fucking blow. And Cena slides in and fucking kicks the shit out of Corbin and shit cans him and grabs the contract and signs it. And the people go crazy. And Reigns sits there in the chair, and the only thing that changed was his facial expression. He didn't move, but his expression went from he was pleased to be there at the start, he was amused when Corbin hit the ring, and now he's fucking pissed. And now he's also pissed and worried. The whole Corbin involvement, it was preposterous, but superbly done, I thought. And it got to fucking people.
I thought this was great. And I thought, first of all, Roman Reigns and Heyman are so fucking good together. Like you said, even when Heyman doesn't talk, his mannerisms, the lack of mannerisms, whatever it is, always perfect. I will say my cable box gives me the option to fast forward 30 seconds at a time on DVR. I think I hit it 7 times from the moment Roman came out to when he got in the ring. Took him a while to get there. But this was really good. And like you said, the only bad thing is Balor. I guess we're going to get Corbin and Balor. I don't know if that's a SummerSlam match or just next week on SmackDown, but he was just tossed out to the trash. But we get Cena and Reigns. Same show, you're going to have Goldberg versus Lashley. Those are 2 valid main events.
And then they followed it up after the break backstage. Heyman comes up and confronts Pearce and Sonya Deville about, what are you going to do about this? And Pearce delivered the perfect line. Hey, it's good enough for me. Of course, I thought this was a slip up possibly here on Paul's part or just a slip up of the way he said it. The way he phrased it was, what are you going to do about this? I mean, it was good for the people and everything, but Finn Balor's name is on the contract, but it's John Cena's signature. Just to make it even a little less see-through, and it wouldn't have been a big change, and they could have all said almost the same thing, I would have had Pierce say, look at this contract, Mr. Heyman. It doesn't have Finn Balor's name anywhere on it. And like they fucking were trying to zoom Reigns to begin with. Because if it was a contract for Finn Balor to face Roman Reigns, then if John Cena or goddamn Peter Rabbit signed it, but if it was a contract with no names and they both signed it, they could have got that by a little better that way, I think. But otherwise,
do you play with this until SummerSlam? I know it's coming up pretty soon, but do you play with?
I think Paul's got to get a lawyer.
Yeah.
And and I mean, I'm sure he knows a number. So most of them have probably been an adversarial relationship, but nevertheless.
Because at one point McAfee yells out, I think, will it be ratified? And I was like, oh,
will it be? It's a contract, not a constitutional amendment. I still can't believe they ain't got McAfee in the ring for something. I want to see him wrestle again. Anyway, what's next? It's your show.
I don't know. What was next on SmackDown?
Oh, I forgot. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. It was a 6-man tag team match, or as they say over on AEW, a trios match. Big E made an entrance, and then that Boogs started playing the guitar for Nakamura. Cesaro was already down there. I've fast-forwarded through Boogaloo Boogs, and it was apparently Nakamura, Cesaro, and Big E with Boogs against Apollo Crews, Bobby Roode, and Dolph Ziggler with Commando Sleaze in the corner. What is his name? Major Meat? Major Guns? Major...
Yeah, I'm not sure, but he got the haircut from the girl in Bow Wow Wow.
Bow wow. Anyway, they started the match, and after 30 seconds of the match, after we'd heard that awful guitar playing and screaming from this Boogs character and all the blah, 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 we got 30 seconds of a match and went to the commercial, so I just never came back. They came back from the break, but I didn't. I've skipped on to the next segment involving a star. What did I miss?
What's his name? Boogs? Boogs got involved. At one point, it was so ridiculous. I wish you would have watched this. He stood up on the stairs and just started playing guitar, and it distracted the heels, and that led to the baby faces getting the win.
Well, normally I think that was a bogus method of distraction, but the way he plays guitar, it would distract you.
Do you think we're going to get a Boogs-Elias feud?
I don't know what the fucking issue is with either one of these guys, but Boogs makes me want to see Elias. Because this guy's way further over the top than Elias. Elias was boring, but Boogs is annoying. Anyway.
Someone said, let's think of a gimmick that didn't work. I know, Man Mountain Rock. Let's try it again.
Oh, I hadn't thought of him. In my God, what was his name?
Daryl Peterson?
Daryl Peterson.
Yeah.
Nice fucking guy. Gimmick did not work. Nice guy. Anyway. The next segment, not only did I like this, but also it redeemed someone for me a little bit. I shall explain. Before they went to the break, Edge came out, had a big entrance, and he milked the people like a fucking cow. And apparently we know why now, because that's the only appearance he was going to get, because he gets in the ring for his big live interview. They go to the break, they come back, and there's Seth Rollins in the ring. And during the break, we see that they play the footage that Rollins has attacked Edge and just beat the shit out of him, including grabbing a TV camera from one of the cameramen and crowning Edge with it. And apparently they carted Edge off somewhere, and Seth Rollins is in the ring. Now, you can argue that why the fuck would he still be allowed to be in the ring when he's just attacked this guy, beat him up, disrupted the show, committed physical assault, etc., and there'd be nobody around, and they've just let him... Okay, well, since you did that, go ahead and take Edge's interview time, but if we can look past that...
Hey, they're letting guys sign contracts that aren't even for their own matches. Why wouldn't they do this?
Well, true. All right. So, but if we can look past these things, this is one of the reasons why Bill Watts and Roy Shire and nobody else would be involved in wrestling these days, because you have to overlook a lot of leaps. But anyway, having said that, Seth Rollins actually did a good fucking promo. It wasn't the Monday Night Messiah where he was boring and whiny. He had a temper. He was mad. He's sick of Edge. He was fired up. Edge has taken his opportunity for the championship in the past, and that's why that he cost Edge the title match versus Reigns, and they showed the package to illustrate that. Imagine that. He's actually mad now, and he's yelling at the guy because he's jealous because he got Seth Rollins' title shot, and so Seth Rollins cost Edge his title shot, and we've got a personal issue here. I wonder if they just wandered upon this by accident or whether they actually intended to do this because it actually makes sense. And Seth closes with, if I can't be the champion, neither can Edge. Good. Great. Wrestling. And you've criticized the Monday Night Messiah's promos and his nasally voice in the past, but he what's the word they use? He projected his voice for this one.
I'll take your word for it.
You didn't see it.
I went right past this one.
Are you fucking kidding?
I went past Edge coming to the ring, and then I kept fast forwarding. Then I saw it was Rollins, and I said, I can't watch this guy.
Oh, man. How convenient.
Tooth and nail rule.
Oh, come on.
Every time I hear him talk, I want to take a nail and
gouge one of your teeth out. You know, that would be even worse than just pulling it the old-fashioned way, as if you were to take a 10-penny nail and just gouge the motherfucker right out of your gum.
I think that would do it. Yeah.
Well, then you can help me, because the only thing left on SmackDown at that point was the tag match from the schoolgirl fight earlier in the program, Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks against Carmella and Zelina. And I fast-forwarded through the match, but I did see the angle afterwards. Did I miss anything in the match?
I fast-forwarded through the match, and I saw the angle afterwards.
You son of a bitch.
You know what? There's a reason this is the main event on this show going into the 10 o'clock hour, because I think I'm going to guess that's when the people are starting to tune out. The contract signing should have been the last thing.
Wait a minute.
Show.
Let me ask you this. If Friday night from 8 to 10, another program's going to be Friday nights from 10 to 11, do you think they're trying on purpose to start tanking the audience 20 minutes before? 20 minutes to 10?
No, that's the
20
kind of... 20
minutes to 10. Let's fucking run them off.
Next thing you're going to do is accuse them of calling dominoes.
I'd never do that. But anyway, Sasha and Bianca won. Since Zelina is no bigger than a hiccup and Carmella couldn't fucking break goddamn carbon paper. But Sasha and Bianca won, and then Sasha Banks suddenly turned on Bianca Belair, gave her backstabber move, hit her with about 86 fake-looking punches and a big DDT, and then put her in a crossface and made her tap, even though she was tapping. Obviously, it wasn't a match. And then she let go, and then she did it again, apparently because they had more time left on live television. Because it ended up perfectly the first time. And I'll go back, and somebody was on the IFB going, get her again. We got 45 seconds left. And that was that.
And that was that, and that was SmackDown. We'll zip through it again this week. Maybe we'll do it a little bit quicker. But, Jim...
Well, that wasn't bad. We give the really bad stuff a lot of time, so we need to give just the kind of bad stuff equal time.
Well, you know, I will say, though, the good stuff is really good. Roman Reigns is at another level right now.
If there was just a Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and John Cena show, that would just
with Baron Corbin. With Baron Corbin as the town drunk. You need that. You need that on that show, I think.
Otis Corbin.
But, Jim, I think maybe coming out of this main event, some of the people that were watching, what was it, Sasha and Bianca versus Carmella and Zelina, perhaps some of these weirdo wrestling fans come out of watching that match and say, hey, I want to be hairless like them. Tell them about Manscaped.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Now, you're just, I'll tell you one thing, though. Talk about tanking the audience 20 minutes before the top of the hour for the next program to come on. You've just tanked the audience right here with that transition. Nevertheless, folks, and I'll tell you, the Manscaped products are indeed soft enough and fair enough for the fairer sex to use, but they certainly perform well. But I've gotten, actually, a late-breaking news bulletin from the folks at Manscaped. It's not only a worldwide news bulletin, it's a galaxy-wide news bulletin. Attention listeners across the galaxy, from Australia to Houston, do we have a pube problem? Ooh, if so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet. With the Performance Package 4.0, the orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Your transition doesn't sound too bad now. But, folks, I'll tell you what. We've talked about the Manscaped products, and no joke, they are our favorite personal grooming products that have ever been made. As a matter of fact, the Lawnmower 4.0, the incredible space-age trimmer with the LED light, the cutting-edge ceramic blade, the advanced skin-safe technology, 7,000 RPM motor, a new multi-function on and off switch. It's even waterproof. This is one of the finest appliances you will have in your home, and you will not nick or cut or gouge or need stitches or anything with this thing. It literally melts your pubes and or any other bodily hair you might have from various orifices from top to bottom. It melts the hair off magically. They've also got the Performance Package 4.0, which includes the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the crop preserver ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver toner, the Performance Boxer briefs, even a travel bag to hold your entire solar system, Brian. Everything's waterproof and the finest quality that money can buy, even though it's cheap. So, abort hairy balls and Buzz Lightyear that Woody, as they say, with Manscaped. You can go to manscaped.com/JCE, get 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com/JCE, 20% off and free shipping on everything in the place. They let me know that your space balls will thank you for this effort.